Wow, it took 26 years to get a sequel to the legendary game Battletoads series. What made me swear and cry and throw rage fits at times, and its continuously evolving gameplay, what kept on making me go back for more, where this game was that good. And that was the Mega Drive version. So how does the 2020 Battletoads hold up for me after so long of a wait from the last game? This Battletoads game is a bit of a mixture of a beat 'em up, platformer and a space shooter at times, but mostly a beat 'em up game. Now for the story, I found it a fun one and a bit out of there. Well, Rash, Pipple and Zitz have been living in a virtual world for 26 years where they are living the fantasy of being famous heroes. I thought that was a brilliant explanation on why they disappeared for so long. And then they get rescued out of the virtual world by these workers, and no one in the world seems to know who they are anymore.
So we checked the wiring, and these morons been in there for 26 years living a simulated fantasy life. And I mean, they stink.
26 years in a fantasy bunker? You'd have to be gullible not to figure that one out. So, frogs, how you feeling? Stupid?
We're not frogs. We're toads.
The Battletoads.
We're famous superheroes.
This just in. No, you're not. This has been Julie Saturn Rings asking, what are they going to do now?
Then the Toads go into real life with jobs and a Monday lifestyle of living, and then Rash gets fed up and bored and wants to be famous again. So he puts all this weird effort into finding the Dark Queen so he can climb to fame again, and he quickly convinces the others to go along with him. So they set off on a journey to find the Dark Queen and quickly find out that she's not the villain of the game. The new villains are these floaty ones with godlike powers who run everything like a weird reality TV show. You play as Rash, Pimple or Zitz in a tag team beat 'em up. For the controls, I found them easy to get used to, and the tutorial is short and sweet. For the majority of the game, it is a beat 'em up with combos. The three Toads have their own fighting style. Pimple is more of the heavy hitter, however he is slower in combat. Zitz is the fastest in combat, and Rash is somewhere in between, and the characters do revive themselves after a small amount of time after they die, and the gameplay does change throughout the stages to keep things fresh throughout the 4 acts. The AI is alright, although I did notice the same pattern repeating on the different stages. Even though they look different, a lot of them do the same thing. One always seems to block what I had to use a certain attack on to get over their defences, and the other one shoots, and the one what shoots, usually I'll take out first because I found them the most annoying one out of them all. Except for the electric one, that one I found that I had to watch out for, especially when there was water around and it lit up parts of the stage like a Christmas tree. And it was so annoying, and I like that enemy at the same time because it used tactics like that. And I like the way how they all looked. It wasn't a dull moment. Every type of enemy in the game has their own unique look. The boss fights are odd. Some of them I liked and others just felt shoehorned in. Apart from the last one, they all seem to follow a pattern for you to figure out. I thought the first boss fight was nicely done though. The way that the pig keeps on showing up and says his line and runs off again, and at the end I was facing 2 of them, and the last boss fight was just amusing as well. And probably my favourite boss fight. And each one seems to have their own wild personalities, what I thought was decent, and I enjoyed most of the bosses. The flies make a comeback to restore your health, as in the old games, and there are collectibles hidden in these levels for you to find in the shape of a diamond-ish thing. This game does have a multiplayer, yet it's only local and no online support, which just puzzles me. This would have been so much better if it had a drop in and drop out online co-op. You could choose the difficulty, which is odd for a Battletoads game, but okay. And for me, this Battletoads 2020 was way too easy for a Battletoads game. On the Mega Drive version, I still haven't got past that snake level to this day. Now this is a hard game for me. This on the other hand is not a difficult game, so if you are after that level of difficulty of the original, you're probably going to be disappointed, especially with the checkpoint system. It's just way too good here. This part I accidentally deleted in the video editing stages, where Blue goes on about how the game is split up into acts and levels, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, accidentally. The levels are a bit of a slow start, and it does take a while for the game to get going. I didn't feel like the game was getting going until around the second act, and that was when it really started to get better for me. The beat 'em up levels do overstay their welcome a bit on the fifth stage. It starts to get a bit repetitive and seems way too long. It seems like I was on that stage forever just to meet the Dark Queen. The levels are more of a side-scroller beat 'em up with a few exceptions like the platforming ones and space shooters, although there is one level what brought back memories of the madness of the original and reminds me of how much of a pain in the arse it was. Is this level when you're on the sled and I had to use the corresponding buttons with the colour of the platforms, or I would have fallen right through them if I got it wrong, and watch out for the enemies and mind the gap at the same time. With me, this was fun, annoying and addictive like Turbo Tunnel on the Mega Drive or the NES version. This part of the game felt like Battletoads to me, and I really did enjoy this level, because it did get me to swear at the game, and also I enjoyed it at the same time and died a shitload of times just to get it right. This was easily my favourite level of the whole entire game. I've had enough. I also enjoyed the spaceship stages, but I found that they did overdo it a little. Where there's 3 spaceship stages all within the same chapter, they really should have spread these out throughout the whole game, yet saying that I did appreciate them, and made me realise that I actually miss these space shooter games. Some minigames are just fun and others are just annoying, like this spaceship minigame. I found this one irritating because it just dropped me in it and says figure it out, and it was just like, I just couldn't figure it out for the first 10 minutes or so. It just done my head in. And it seemed random of what bit of the puzzle I had to do. I ended up tapping all the buttons on the controller just to find out where it kept on putting me on these icons. There is no indicator on what bit I had to solve. I hate this minigame because it just was so random of where I had to solve what bit of this tiny little bit of minigame. And it's like over here and now I've got to solve that bit now, and it drops and it's like, I don't know where I am. So I'm always tapping all the buttons and trying to look at what was actually pointing at me, and it's like, I can't believe it's that minigame there. It was just so annoying. Except this minigame, it kicks ass where I'm killing all these hippies left, right, centre. They're going there all like, who hasn't had that fantasy of beating up the hippies? For the soundtrack, I like the starting sound of the original game, and I liked it here as well. When I just launched the game, it gave me that nostalgia feeling all over again. It's just been updated from the original game, like Turbo Tunnel, it's got a remix there. I like the soundtrack of this game. I found it good to the point that I could listen to it a lot of the time. For the graphics, they went for this cartoony style. Now I'm not against this, however I did find it a bit too kid friendly for Battletoads. Where the majority of players are probably adults now to know who the Battletoads are. All they had to do was add in a bit of blood in it and probably made it a bit more attitude looking, and that would have satisfied me, but that's really my fault. It was like they were trying to catch a new audience with this art style on the Toads, and comparing Rash on the Mega Drive game case to Rash here, my vote's got to be the one on the Mega Drive game case. That one just looks so much cooler. I like the cutscenes where they had a sense of humour in them, and I was always looking forward to the next scene where they were never boring. I found them extremely well done to the point that they could actually make a cartoon of this. I was glued to it when these scenes were on, and I enjoyed watching them all. I was just completely gone when these scenes were on. For the characters, they all been redesigned to this cartoon, so the Dark Queen is not a dominatrix anymore. It's got to be in the kid-friendly zone. Fortunately, all the characters have been redesigned with this kid-friendly approach. I thought the voice acting is extremely well done, and for me the ones that stood out the most is Rash and the Dark Queen. They steal the show every time, Rash with his oddly sense of humour, and the Dark Queen just made me laugh at times by what she was saying. I think the Dark Queen was probably my favourite character. She was that good of a voice actor.
Stay calm. You're a queen. You're unflappable. Suck my frigging butt, you backstabbing punks! Chug my dump truck, you stinky wimps! Beep, beep, garbage butt backing up! I hate the Battletoads.
Far along the game is I clocked on the 4-hour mark, so it's not really that long of a game, and unfortunately I just don't see myself going back to it anytime soon. So in the end, I'm conflicted about this. I did have fun with this game, with the humour and the cutscenes and certain levels. However, it didn't feel like a Battletoads game, it felt like a parody version of the original game. Now there's nothing wrong with going through that route and exploring new ways of making a Battletoads game, but if you are after that gameplay feel of the old games and the difficulty of them, it's just not here. Maybe they should have called this Battlefrogs instead and marketed it as a parody version of Battletoads. Then I would have recommended it, but it's riding on the name of Battletoads. Well, I think that hurts this game the most. So have you played it? What do you think of it? Leave it in the comments below. Until next game, I'm off.